Take like 25. Hello everybody. My name's Aaron Sheedy. Most of you know me. I'm one of the owners of D.F.F Productions, and I'm the director and writer for the documentary ScapeGOAT, which is being filmed right now in Toronto. When we started ScapeGOAT, we wanted to explore the idea of scapegoating and how a larger group will attack a smaller group in order to sort of motivate the middle ground to come to support them. We didn't really quite know what we're getting into, and as such, we started doing the research and talking to people who were feeling the pressure the most. We kind of landed on families that are dealing with gender diverse children and kids who are trans, and how there's a lot of rhetoric right now about other groups, namely governments, namely church groups, namely even some people within families and such are really believing these headlines about gender care and what that actually means. Whenever we embark on a new documentary, we have a policy of listen first before we start talking. And our listening took us sort of all over the map. Myself, Shane Morrison, Patty Ritsinas, Jean Turner, Christopher Husbets, the other people who've been involved, our lead Brody. We had Jesse join us not long ago. So we've all been in this process of where we're listening to the groups and trying to find out why this one particular group, which is families who have gender diverse children, are being targeted. Part of that research led us to look into the work of a man named George Hislop, who passed away, I think, in 2005. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. So long before I was ever on the scene of this kind of space. But one of the things that really stuck with me when we did our research with George is the idea of myth destruction. When people come for you or they come for your family, they often don't want to hear the truth. So here we are today. What I'd like to do today is take a minute and talk about some of the things that you're hearing in the news and tell you the facts. If you ask any parent of a gender diverse child what it's all about, they're going to tell you one thing. They're going to tell you it's about suicide prevention, because they are terrified that their child is going to die to suicide, because kids who are gender diverse or trans are 7 times more likely to attempt suicide than sort of the cis population. 7 times more likely. So that is terrifying for any family. And when you hear about surgeries, and you hear about medications, and you hear about pronouns, and you hear about things you agree with and things you don't agree with, it's all about that. So please remember that. So friends, family, when you hear a headline or you hear the idiot premier saying things about indoctrination, it's not about that. It's about supporting kids in your family so that they can grow up healthy and happy. There's a difference between what we support. There's a difference between what we support and what we're willing to do. Do I want my child to have surgeries? Do I want my child to take medications? Maybe, maybe not. But I absolutely do not want them to die to suicide. And that's what I'm willing to entertain in order to prevent suicide. And it's just that, if it's nothing else. And they would make you believe it's about wokeism and liberal college professors and teachers in schools trying to hide things from you. It's none of that. It's an illusion. They're lying to you. The premier got on the news a couple of days ago and say they have to stop the indoctrination of children in our schools. He's lying. He's okay with trans kids killing themselves. That's what he's saying. There's no in between on that. And he has access to all the information, hospital for sick children, any number of PFLAG research, you name it, it's all out there. That's a fact. Kids who are supported in gender care kill themselves at a slower rate. As a parent, that's the ballgame for me. I think everyday cis families have not been treated fairly. I really don't think that you've been treated like thinking human beings. They're trusting that you're going to just read the headlines, that you're just going to listen to Doug Ford of all people, and that's going to be like, yep, he's saying things that I want to hear. But I'm hoping that my friends and family, and I'm hoping other people who are doing similar videos, are going to be able to go and either listen to me or go find the research yourself from reputable places. People who are saying things like gender regret, all these other things, sure, that happens, right? But I come back to my original point. As a parent, I don't want my kid to kill themselves. And nobody's got a better solution than gender care. Nobody has it. If there was a solution that was better than gender care, I'd be behind it. But you don't have it. Your church doesn't have it. Your school doesn't have it. Your doctor's office doesn't have it. And if your doctor's office offering something other than gender care, be really, really suspicious. If there was something else there, I would be behind it. But there isn't. And I want to give my children the happiest, healthiest life possible. And I want that the same for your children. I want that for other gender diverse families. Two things that drive me crazy when people talk about them in the media. One is surgeries, the second is pronouns. Let's talk about surgeries first. Surgeries, as a whole, are not generally accessible to children, meaning that most surgeries are offered to people who are 18 years or older, and they're making that decision as an adult. Even then, it is super slow, and they are super cautious, and there's lots of checks and balances in place before those surgeries are done. They have to check with their doctor, their endocrinologist, their surgeon, all those things. When those surgeries happen with children, it's a decision made between the patient, the parents, or the caregivers, the family doctor, the endocrinologist, and the surgeon, and the psychiatrist or counselor. So it's not like a child can just march into a hospital and say, I want to have life-altering surgery. That's not true. When somebody tries to tell you that's true, they're being very misleading. And when you hear about somebody having gender-affirming surgery, your heart should really pour out for them, because that family's going through a lot. And it's come to this very, very extreme solution in order to keep that child alive. Please think about that. Please think, when you see that headline and somebody's trying to say some 15-year-old had gender-affirming surgery and that's wrong, put yourself in that family's position. Which would you prefer? Which would you prefer? I can't even visualize the alternative. I don't even want to. The next is pronouns. Fucking pronouns. You gotta be kidding me. So a kid wants to call himself he or she or they or them or some of the other pronouns at school, and you're worried that the teacher's not going to pick up the phone and call you. That's on you. That's really on the parent. If you're that out of touch with your children that they cannot talk to you about these things at home, why should the school be involved in that level of parenting for you? Further, most of the time, it's a non-issue, right? I've seen it many times. I work with lots of youth groups. They switch, they mold, they go back and forth, and they land to where they need to be in the gender spectrum. However, there are families that will throw that children out. And I can give you examples. If they come home and they say, hey, I think I'm another gender, or I'm questioning my gender, they will become homeless. So can we maybe trust the school, trust the adults in the child's life to say, you know what, maybe it's not safe for this child at home if they come out and say that, hey, I'm a he instead of a she, and that creates a dangerous situation at home. Maybe we should just trust that the adults in that child's life are going to have their back if nobody at their home has their back. In conclusion, if you want to know more, ask me, look up PFLAG, get involved with our documentary, talk to other people who actually know, who are actually living this thing. I am very concerned that our provincial government has come out against our children. And I'm very concerned that the next election, this is going to be a thing where they're going to say, you're going to have people come up and say, my pronouns are freedom in Canada, like they do in the States, flying in the face of kids who are some kids who are struggling with some really serious issues, and they're going to be made fun of by the adult politicians. And as a parent, I'm not changing course, right? I'm not following them. I'm not following you. I'm going to follow the science. I'm going to listen to my kids, and I'm going to make sure my kids are going to be healthy and happy to the best of my ability. And I hope you're doing the same for your family. Thanks, everybody. From the bottom of my heart, I hope that your family's healthy. And I hope you're out there being creative and you're making movies, or you're doing art, or you're singing songs, or you're playing hockey, or whatever floats your boat, and you're enjoying this wonderful place that we call Canada, because it's still a great place, and I think together we can keep it that way.